Welcome back, everybody, to the Time Cave. It's Ray O'Robb, your congenial host on a Thursday once again. That's right, we are out here. It's actually a mild afternoon. I'm getting out here a little later than usual. It's a slow morning, a little bit, just kind of took it easy and had my coffee and made a late breakfast and walked the dog. And, I was like, the day's just kind of getting away from me. I better get out there and make some content for everybody, So here we are. Hope everyone's week has been going so far so good, Mine's not been bad. No, it's been actually kind of nice. And I was able to see my wonderful lady on Tuesday, and she had some things going on in her office, so she invited me out to hang out and visit there at her job, and it was really nice. And we got some lunch, and we hung out, and there was a book signing that she wanted to attend to in Glendale, and I was like, that sounds fun. Let's do that. So we went out there, and unfortunately the information that she had was incorrect, and it was actually at the Grove. So, but anyhow, it's what it is. Sometimes these things just don't pan out. But she's like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, let's just walk around the Americana here. We're already here. Might as well enjoy it. And it's a nice evening. So I'm like, oh, that's true. And I walk around, and it's nice. And we were like, hey, so we want to eat something? Should we eat something? Yeah, let's eat something. So then we're like, there's this little restaurant we walked by on Brand there. And they have a wine list, and they have some nice, simple meals that you can pick from, and different kind of snacks and things, and appetizers, I guess you would say, rather than snacks. But it looked really nice. It had this nice outside seating, dining area with these candles, and I was just like, this looks really nice. Doesn't this look nice? She's like, yeah, it really does. I'm like, let's check out the menu. So we do, and we see a smoked mushroom pizza on there. I'm like, oh, well, of course, we're both Gen X. We love our pepperoni pizza, but that smoked mushroom sounds really nice. So we did. We ordered that and a little salad, and we shared everything. We weren't terribly too hungry because we were still a little full from lunch, which was, double animal style, and Neo shake and fries and all that stuff. But we sat there, and I'm not really too knowledgeable about wine, and she is. So she looked at the wine list and, picked something out that would go nicely with the pizza, and I was like, oh, okay. And was she right? Absolutely she was. She picked out a winner, and I was like, wow, this does pair very nicely with this pizza. It's like, wow. So she's helping me learn something about wine, and I mean, that's a totally different world. It's kind of like cigars and pipe tobacco and wine. Fine things, you have to have a palate and understand the profile and all the different nuances about these things. And it's not about, overindulgence. It's about savoring and tasting and enjoying these things. And it was lovely. It was perfectly nice. And spent some really nice quality time together, and had some great conversations and some good laughs. And we were amused by this one late model Corvette that was constantly circling the block there. It was coming down Brand and then making a right turn to do the Americana and then disappear, and then like 5 minutes later we'd come back down, and we're like, is that the same Corvette? I think it's the same Corvette. It's kind of funny. It's hilarious because, guys, they like to show off and cruise the boulevard, and their fancy car, right? They're like, oh yeah, I've got this car, I'm playing cool music, and I'm they're enjoying themselves. It's not always just about showing off, but they're enjoying themselves, right? But at the same time, they want to be seen. They want people to notice them and say, oh, that guy, he must have his stuff together. He's got this expensive sports car, and he's got he's a cool dude, right? Yeah. Well, it's a little obvious, but I can't say anything because I've driven my antique car up and down Myrtle a little bit, thinking I'm the coolest thing on four wheels, and we all do that, men get into cars and they want to cruise around and just, feel like they're showing off, or they're just sharing, and they're just like, yeah, it is cool, isn't it, right? Guys do that. The women do too. They want to dress nice, and they want other people to notice, and they want other women to say, oh, they want to be. Humans are interesting. We are interesting characters. There's a subtle competition about just normal things. It's fascinating, and I've noticed this in collectible groups, and certain collectibles are rare and different than others, and some people that have those ones that other people don't, they're just like, well, yeah, I got these, and you don't, it just, it's a competition sometimes. It does. It turns out to be that way, and it makes me laugh. Some of it's become kind of comical because I remember doing that one time. Okay, I still do once in a while. But anyways, I mean, I have a channel I share rare lanterns with you. So, but when you really look about it, or you look at it, it doesn't matter. It's just a thing. It doesn't make the individual more special because of the thing that they have. It doesn't. It really shouldn't. And if somebody needs special or rare things to make them appeal more interesting or special or admired, then, I think people are mistaken sometimes about why things are collectible or whatever. But it's an interesting conversation to have, isn't it? I think so. But here we are, sharing, right? That's right. So here is a lantern that I've had for a while now, and you've all pretty much seen it, but it's something I thought it is a favorite, and it's rare. But since the last video we did about lanterns, last week we did one about the steam engine, 3751. The week before that we did the Royal 1B SG&L. So we're doing a cold blast. We're going to go back and forth to hot and cold blast. Now, one of my subscribers actually asked for a description of a difference between cold blast and hot blast. What's the difference? What's the thing? Well, stay tuned to the end of the video and I will explain it. That's right. So here's the lantern I want to share this week. It's a John A. Herwood, the Herwood Company, out of, I think, Connecticut. This one's from really early 1900s era. I think they started making these guys, right around tail end of the 90s, maybe 1900, give or take, when a lot of companies were making cold blast lanterns. Now, for those who don't know what a Herwood is, these have a very unique lift mechanism. Now, take a look. You see anything different about this thing? Do you notice anything unique? Take a look at the construction. You notice anything odd or different? Well, you will. Here's our lift lever. It doesn't come down. The globe doesn't lift up. It does this. That's right. Check that out. Smooth as silk. Look at this. And you have this wire here that lifts the chimney up to allow the globe to swing out. And it's a genius design. It's perfectly balanced. It's just, when you look at the mechanics that went into this thing, the math and the design is really remarkable that they put that much attention into a kerosene lantern. It is. But it makes sense. You want to move the globe away without having to remove it completely. You just want it to lift and then move out of the way, and then you can trim your wick, clean the burner, whatever, put it all back together, light it, and then you have your evening's light for whatever you're doing outside, walking around, doing chores or whatever, or even just taking a leak at the outhouse, right? But anyways, this is a big cold blast, and I love this thing. I haven't burned it very much, but I did put some fuel in it, and we will get it lit. So I got my little 17 over here just kind of going away, and get this big old spent match, so we'll just, borrow some fire and get this thing going here. Oh, maybe, there we go. Okay. No, not enough? Okay, there we go. All right. Well, looks like we're, there it is. Okay, so it's off to the races now. So we just close it down, and there you are. She's burning really nice. Beautiful lantern. So the Herwood, funny story about this. It came to me about 2023, around late August, early September, I want to say. And I got a message from Madison Kirkman. And he's like, hey, did you see this? I'm like, no, I didn't. It was on Marketplace with another lantern. It was a little wizard. Dietz little wizard. And I'm like, oh, no kidding. Is that, oh my gosh, you guys aren't going after that? He's like, no, we have one already. I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, I thought, this should be something you have for your collection. I'm like, oh, well, that's fantastic. And the price was very, very, very affordable. So I'm like, well, shoot, I guess I'll ask them to see if they still have it. And I sent a message. I'm like, yeah, I still have them. I'm like, all right. Cash? Yeah. I'm right. San Bernardino. Get in the car, go out to San Bernardino, and I pick him up. And I pay him his money and, go home. And I'm looking at these things. I'm like, I can't believe I have one. I have a Herwood Aladdin. It's incredible. It's an incredible lantern. It's just so smooth and works so nice. And it was a little dusty and a little surface rust going on, just very minor. And I just took the, a little Scotch pad and a little WD-40, just went over it real light, and it just revealed this beautiful dark patina. Didn't give it too much attention. It looks original. It just needed just a little bit of, coaxing to come back fully. I didn't polish the brass or anything. This is pretty much how it was. It was just really dirty. Not too much so, but yeah, you get the idea. This came out really nice. I love the way this looks. The cold blasts are definitely more rare. Now, some of you guys out there have the Herwood Hot Blast, and it essentially has the same lift design, just a hot blast instead of a cold blast. Now, they offered the Aladdin and also the Bishop. Yeah, I think the Bishop was a little lesser cost. I think the Aladdin was the more expensive model, but I'm not sure. There's not a whole lot of information out there for the Herwood manufacturing company. But anyway, it's was it John A. Hurley? John A. Hurley, and they just the name of the company is Herwood Manufacturing Company. But it's interesting stuff. This dates to early 1900s, maybe no later than maybe 1905, right around there. It went through different slight variants since its inception of the cold blast, around 1900 or so. I don't know, but not too much information exists for these lanterns. Now, I know that they offered some other model names besides the Bishop or the Aladdin, but I've seen a few things surface on the Facebook group on Facebook, the Tubular Lantern Collectors Group, but it's rare. It's nice. You don't see a lot of early Herwood stuff, and this lift design is so unique and so far out there. That's why people want it. It's because it's very different and it's fun, and it operates, and it's not overly it's not cantankerous or anything. But you do have to have the right size globe. So just throwing any cold blast globe into it's not going to work, because it has to be the exact correct height to accommodate the globe plate and the chimney, because they're all connected. So this lift lever comes up here and goes into the chimney that lifts the chimney, or to get up and over the cone to swing out. It's all connected. It's all been worked out. And the sad thing is that some people have found these, but they've been dropped or broken and damaged, and they're very hard to repair so they operate smoothly as this one does, because it's just very, very precise measurements and adjustments to have this thing actually function correctly. But yeah, it's a very unique piece. Very bright. It's a number 2 cold blast, so naturally it's going to be fairly bright. But yeah, it's a really fun lantern, and I'm really happy to have it. I wanted one for a long time, and I knew somebody that had one that we were talking about, me purchasing it, but they wanted they wanted the retail value, which I don't fault them for. They wanted, what they felt it was worth, and that's fine. But thankfully I got to get one for a fraction of the cost of what some people have sold these for. But yes, I love this piece. It's definitely in the top favorites, and it's going nowhere. And yeah, it's a wonderful thing. It's so funny, Aladdin. You think you could rub this thing and get a genie to come out and grant you some wishes. Well, even if I could, I wouldn't. You're like, well, why not, Rob? Wouldn't you like make a wish? you know, and get everything you wanted. Well, here's the problem. You watched a lot of TV, you've seen some films or cartoons or whatever, and they find a magic lamp and they rub that thing and this genie comes out. Well, are they ever granted the wishes in the way they want it? Now, those genies are like, you know, they're tricky because you make a wish and then you get what you asked for, but in the wrong way, in the not the ideal situation or circumstances, right? Yeah, well, it's funny because if you guys, for those Twilight Zone fans out there, you probably recall the one where there's that shopkeeper and his wife, and they struggled, right? And I think it was a pawn shop or an art store, or an antique shop, or curiosity shop, I guess you could say. But story night, this guy comes in with a cloak and a hat, and very well dressed, very well mannered, but also this a little bit of a side smile going on. He was up to something. You knew this guy was sneaky, and well, you know, he comes in and he's a genie of sorts, and he wants to grant these wishes, and this shopkeeper's like, oh, you know, I want to have all this money, and you know, so he gets all the money, but then all of a sudden he's just giving it away, he's just celebrating and everything, and all of a sudden he's penniless. He's got nothing to my recollection. He you know, there was, it was the internal revenue guy shows up, right, from the IRS, you know. He takes all his money because, you know, taxes, right? And he gets another wish and all of this stuff, and it all turns out bad, but the last wish was the real kicker. He's like, I want to be powerful. I want to be a ruler over a small country, or, you know, he had all these things, and he tried to cover his bases of the last wishes he made because they kind of messed him up. They did. They messed him up, and he's like, oh, you know, this is how I want it, and he's trying to adjust his wishes to be more conducive to what he has in his mind. But he says he wants to be he wants to have power, and he wants to be a ruler of a country, and all this stuff. And for those who remember that episode, he was granted that wish, but he was Adolf Hitler at the end of the war, and you know, he wakes up in this bunker and he realizes who he is eventually, and he's like, yeah. So wishes are funny things, you know. We have these ideas of what would improve our lives, our circumstances and situations, right? And yeah, sure, having money would definitely answer a lot of my problems, but you know what? I have been so richly blessed. I have been. And money really isn't everything. It can be very useful. It's a tool. It can pay off debts. It can take care of things that you need to pay for, right? But, you know, having too much of it, it becomes a burden. It can be a greater responsibility than we really can understand, especially for most of those who don't have a lot of it. But, you know, life, it gives you what you need sometimes. And it's an interesting thing, and there's a perspective. And all the people I've ever known that seeked fortune, that worked hard and tirelessly, they just worked and worked and worked and worked to pay for the things that they felt that they should have. And they never had the time to enjoy the things that they earned, that they worked for. And eventually it's gone because, you know, they're spending more time focusing on making money than their own families, and then their families suffer, their home life suffers, and eventually they're left with the things that they worked for so hard. Not every case, of course. I'm not disparaging on anybody that makes a lot of money, of course not. That's not why I'm here. But I want people to understand, or maybe see it from a different perspective, that as long as your needs are met and you're doing okay, and you got food on the table, you have a roof over your head, and maybe a few nice lanterns, you're doing okay. That's success to me. And for me, my success is having wonderful comments and people that leave nice messages on my YouTube channel and that follow me and respect my opinion and my knowledge and everything, which is not as advanced or as in-depth as maybe I would like it to, but I'm always learning things. I'm trying to always keep an open mind about a lot of things. But I also am blessed. I have a beautiful dog, a little Boston Terrier. I have an awesome vintage car. I have the things that I really enjoy. I also have the love of a very beautiful woman who I hope you will be able to meet sooner than later. And we've been talking about doing a collaboration, maybe early next year, and that should be a good time to make the introduction. So stay tuned to that. We've been talking about doing a collaboration, and she's looking to launch her own YouTube channel, and I'm very excited for that because I was there when she was doing some of her filming, and I want her to know that I have nothing but faith in her and her style and her presentation. I am very excited to see hit YouTube because I think it will be very well received. But yeah, blessings come in so many different packages in different ways that enrich our lives. And we just have to be receptive to those things and be open to it, and also recognize it when it happens. So, yeah. Well, thanks again, everybody. I appreciate you giving me your time for 20, 30 minutes every week out here in this old garage with these old lanterns. I hope you enjoyed the Herwood Aladdin that I haven't shared in quite some time. It's definitely a favorite. But next week we'll have something else in the Rob's Rare Favorite Pick. And we'll try and wrap up this series in the next coming weeks, and also present some spooky content for Halloween at the end of the month, as I've done in the past. It's a tradition I kind of enjoy. I know that you do too. Well, guys, have a good rest of your week. And light on the lantern, light a pipe or a cigar, whatever you enjoy. Have a little whiskey or a nice beer. But also, tell those people in your family and your life, your friends, your acquaintances, that you value them, that they're important. Keep them near. So many things can change in a moment's notice, and I've seen it happen in my own life, and many others. So never take anything for granted. Always savor every moment that you have in this world. And I say these things in closing, and I look forward to seeing you guys in a week's time. And take care. Bye-bye now. Sit, boo-boo, sit. Good dog.